I'm amazed at how that character's Strange New Worlds appearance didn't break Star Trek canon. When Star Trek Strange New Worlds announced that yet another legacy character would appear in Season 3, fans braced themselves for potential canon chaos. After all, introducing familiar faces from the original series always risks upsetting the delicate continuity that Star Trek has built over nearly 6 decades. But somehow, Strange New Worlds once again walked the finest of lines, bringing back a beloved character in a way that both thrilled fans and stayed perfectly faithful to canon. It's a testament to how carefully the writers respect Star Trek's vast history while still keeping their storytelling bold, emotional, and unpredictable, walking the tightrope of Star Trek continuity. From the very start, Strange New Worlds positioned itself as a series deeply rooted in Star Trek's golden age, while also modernizing its tone and format for today's audiences. That's a difficult balance to maintain. Every cameo or legacy connection has to be handled with surgical precision. Bring in a familiar face too soon or change too much about them, and you risk alienating longtime fans who guard Star Trek continuity like a sacred text. That's why that character's reappearance in Season 3 was so shocking, not just because it was unexpected, but because of how gracefully it fit into established canon. It wasn't a flashy retcon or a continuity-breaking twist. Instead, it was a subtle, character-driven moment that felt inevitable once you saw it play out. The character everyone thought couldn't return. The series has already brought back several figures from the original series era: Spock, Uhura, Chapel, and even Captain Kirk himself, all with carefully plotted arcs that enrich the canon rather than contradict it. But this time, the show reached even deeper into the lore to bring back a name few expected. Turing, Spock's betrothed from the classic TOS episode Amok Time. Fans assumed Turing's story had been more or less closed. In Strange New Worlds' earlier seasons, we saw her and Spock's engagement strained under the weight of duty and cultural expectations. By the time the original series takes place, she betrays him during the Vulcan mating ritual, choosing another partner instead. So when Turing appeared again in Season 3, many fans worried her inclusion might disrupt that timeline. How could she return without clashing with her ultimate fate? Amazingly, the writers found a way, and it worked brilliantly. How Strange New Worlds preserved canon while deepening emotion. Instead of rewriting history, Strange New Worlds used Turing's reappearance to add emotional texture to a story we already knew the ending to. Her Season 3 scenes didn't rewrite her relationship with Spock, they clarified it. We saw how Vulcan duty, logic, and love collided in ways that made their eventual breakup in Amok Time even more tragic. The genius was in what the show didn't do. It didn't make Turing secretly fall back in love with Spock or rewrite her motivations. Instead, it portrayed her as a fully realized Vulcan woman torn between tradition and individual freedom. Her decisions made sense, both in the moment and in the larger canon. Her dialogue with Spock hinted at the emotional distance that will one day culminate in her cold logic during Amok Time. It was continuity as character development, not contradiction. Why this works better than many legacy revivals. Too many franchise prequels fall into the trap of fan service for fan service's sake, showing familiar faces or referencing famous lines simply to trigger nostalgia. Strange New Worlds avoids that pitfall. It treats canon not as a cage, but as a foundation for new storytelling. Turing's inclusion wasn't about ticking a box or filling an Easter egg quota. It was about exploring the emotional consequences of Spock's human-Vulcan duality in ways the original series couldn't at the time. We understand now why Spock's later restraint feels so absolute. It's not just logic. It's the scar of a failed relationship that taught him emotional control. That's powerful storytelling that adds meaning to existing canon rather than rewriting it. The secret to Strange New Worlds' canon success. The real secret behind Strange New Worlds' success with continuity is that it starts from character, not timeline. Every legacy return, from Kirk to Pike to Turing, begins with the question: what does this moment reveal about who they are and how they become who we know? That's why even the most unexpected appearances feel earned. The show's writers also have a deep respect for Star Trek's evolving continuity. Instead of pretending past stories didn't happen, they weave emotional logic through the gaps between them. They acknowledge that canon isn't about memorizing dates and ranks. It's about understanding the characters' emotional journeys and moral choices. By doing this, Strange New Worlds pulls off the impossible. It tells fresh stories inside a rigidly defined history, and each time it does, the timeline feels richer, not smaller. A model for future Star Trek stories. If anything, Turing's Season 3 return